Okay, this is idiocy. We're doing a replay analysis looking at Yasuo top versus Ryze, and this is in gold 4. So my anticipation for this lane is that it's going to be a little bit rough. Depending on how the early game goes, Ryze will have the ability to lock you down hard enough that I would anticipate you having a pretty hard time getting the things done that, or playing Yasuo effectively, basically. So I like that you're using your Q to farm from safety. You're giving up the CS that you can't safely get. Okay, nice trade. I'm not sure why he didn't root you. Did he not level root? Maybe he did root you, it's just so short, or maybe it was on cooldown, I don't know, I didn't see. So maybe this Ryze is just terrible. Okay, so basically so far this is fine. You're missing some CS that you should be hitting, so there's some mechanical things to work on there. Good wall. Okay, good. Now you should back off and ward. That's fine. Although I would have held on to it for a beat longer so you can interrupt him actually taking that cannon. See if that was even possible. So yeah, you had several seconds left, so why not hold on to it until he actually is going for the cannon, you know? Because you knock him up and do damage, which is not nothing. But if you held on to it till now, then it actually disrupts him his last hitting this important minion. And you should ward now. It turns out that Lee is in position to gank. Or maybe he ganked mid. Let me check that. Oh, it looks like maybe he ganked mid. Yeah, okay, never mind. You're fine. Yusan. Okay, so Echo dies needlessly there. Okay, so you know that Lee is mid, and if you're paying attention, if you're glancing down and looking at it, which I hope you are, then you can see that Lee is so low that even if he does come up, you're fine. So that's fine to not ward there in that situation, because it would kind of be a waste of the ward. Okay, so this is fine. You're kind of just hanging out. You're waiting. One thing you could do with this time that maybe would be a little bit better use of your time would be to go throw a ward like deep in Lee's jungle. Especially if you know that he stole your red. I'm not sure if you know that or not, but if you do know that, then that would be a really effective time to go throw a ward deep in his jungle. Instead of just kind of monkeying around here and waiting for Ryze to push it off the turret so you can keep CSing, you can just kind of leave lane, and he'll think you're just going to ward the river or whatever, and you can sneak in here and ward this red. And since you glanced mid and saw that he was so low after that gank, if on the off chance he is being a moron and coming up to gank you, then you catch him out like right here, where Ryze can't help him, and he's super low, and you probably pick up a kill. So come down and look for opportunities like that to establish map pressure through warding, and just being in the fog of war so that people don't know where you are. Especially since you couldn't farm or do anything on the turret anyway. You might as well at least duck out of the vision, into the fog of war so that they don't know where you are for sure. And you could even pretty effectively go out and get some vision control down in their jungle. Okay, you're using minions really well. That was actually really nice mechanically, just dancing around that minion there. I'm going to assume that was on purpose, because Ryze ends up misclicking and hitting that minion with both of his abilities. So at this point now, a little thing here you could actually really effectively probably do, especially since you had a tornado queued up, would be to queue up a tornado and then just kind of come over here and see if you can disrupt his recall. You might take one turret shot, and so it's maybe a little risky to do, but on the off chance that he was recalling here or something, you could hit him with your tornado and disrupt it. You probably wouldn't have kill pressure, and that's fine though, because you're wanting to pressure this in and get as much advantage off of pressuring this in as possible. And so if you force him to start channeling recall again after he moves back, that wastes like 10 to 15 seconds of his time. And that's the amount of time that's time that he could have spent walking back to lane. So it's another 10 to 15 second delay on him getting back to lane, or teleporting obviously since he has TP, which is 10 to 15 seconds longer that his turret will be eating his CS. So you do want to go ahead and shove this in here. You want to try to force him to... Oh my gosh, this Ryze is so bad. So I hope that you are aware that using your teleport on a minion means that's going to be the full 5-minute cooldown, or if you use it on your turret, it's going to be a 4-minute cooldown. So I'm hoping that you know that. This Ryze clearly doesn't, because this makes no sense for him to do this otherwise. Yeah, nice wind wall. Actually, should have been a little faster. You would have taken less damage if you popped it up a little sooner. Okay, but by now you definitely should have warded. So what I think you should have done here in this situation is, as soon as you realize that Ryze was recalling, it would have been nice to check and see if you could disrupt it. But even if you don't do that, as soon as you realize Ryze is recalling, you got to shove this as fast as possible, which you're not doing. You're last hitting instead of shoving. You shove this as fast as possible to force him to burn his teleport. He ends up burning his teleport anyway, but what you want to have time to do is you want to shove it and force him to burn his teleport on his turret so he doesn't have any minions to teleport to. So you burn it here, and that gives you time to come down and ward. If you're going to stick around in lane, which is probably fine at this point, to stay, you don't necessarily need to go back right now. You don't have a big item like threshold that you're pushing up against. So it's fine to stay in lane right now in theory. But now Lee has had a chance to recall and heal up and move into his jungle again, and so now you definitely need a ward. Often, the biggest time that you will get ganked and murdered is in this situation, when you force somebody back and then they teleport back. Because they're pinging, the jungler has had time to, you've had time to force him out, so the jungler has definitely had time to make his way up to your side of the map. And so you're shoved in, the enemy laner just got back from base, so he is full health, has a new item or two, and so is going to be at least a little bit stronger than he was before, and the jungler knows that, so if he's smart, he's making his way up here to try to capitalize on that 2v1 when you're overextended and his ally is at full health and has items. So you staying here to try to be aggressive is just really risky. You back off here, but now you're at 3/4 health, and you don't have any idea that Lee is here. So since you don't have any idea that Lee is here, you don't overcommit, which is good. I'm glad that you at least play it somewhat safe, or you would have died instead of just burning your flash. But even just by coming down and warding after you shove that lane, then you see that coming, and you can just back off and you don't have to burn anything. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit here. So I don't think there's going to honestly be a whole lot to talk about in this lane phase. I probably would have walked to lane though there, because he was not going to be able to shove it to your turret in time to actually lose CS. I mean, that's debatable a little bit, but anytime that you can walk to lane without giving up major CS to your turret, you should, as a rule of thumb. Okay, if you can freeze it here, that would be ideal, because then now Ryze is out of mana, so Ryze is... Oh yeah, see, freeze it. Don't let it come into your turret. So right now, you're thinking this is the situation right now. Ryze is super behind, and also he's terrible. So he's actually not that far behind, but he's terrible. So you have demonstrated an ability to go in and be aggressive on him and do more damage to him, and he's demonstrated that he's missing a lot of skill shots and doesn't really know how to handle you. So with your wind wall and your mobility and just the fact that it seems like he's not playing very well, you can be thinking that you want to look for situations where you can take advantage of him, of mistakes that he makes. So you're right here, and you have an opportunity, since there's so many more minions on his side than there are on yours. You have an opportunity to set up a freeze here. That does two things for you. It allows you to farm safely here without risk of getting ganked, because you're behind the midline, so it's much harder to gank you. It allows you to zone Ryze out much more easily, because you can dash out and hit him and dash right back. You're not losing CS to your turrets. You're not having to focus 100% on CSing. You have the flexibility to be able to bounce out and trade when you want to. So freezing, and you can maintain a freeze for a really long time if you know how to do it. So I'll link you a really good article series on on freezing and just creep control in general. That can help you in situations like this. Because right now, if you just keep this to a 3 minion advantage or so, if you're able to knock this down to 3 or 4 minions on his side, so basically kill these melees or kill 1 or 2 of these casters, you can maintain this freeze almost indefinitely. You're going to have to take a little bit of minion aggro here, but that's okay. You've got sustain. Ryze can't kill you. He's out of mana. So you're going to let this push in a little bit. You're not going to go aggressive on Ryze right now. He still has some mana. His passive is almost up, and he has a lot of minions on his side. So it's unlikely that he could kill you, but it's also pretty unlikely that you can kill him. It would be pretty tough. Maybe if you had Ignite, but even then probably not. So you're not going to go aggressive right now. You're going to wait for him to dig himself in even deeper when it's like 100% that you win the trade and can kill him even. So you're going to you want to try to freeze it. So he's clearing these minions. So you're thinning the herd because you know you don't want a massive minion lead or else it's going to push in faster than you can control it. So you want to maintain, so you want to kill several of these. And now you just want to stand right here. Just come up and stand right here so that the minions aggro you and they don't push in. You're only going to have to stand there for a couple of seconds because your wave is right here. So as soon as your wave comes in, then you step back and let them take the aggro, and then you just last hit. And if you can sit here and just last hit and tank the wave for a second or two every time you have to, you can keep the wave right here for as long as you want to. The only way that Ryze can break it is if he goes super aggressive and just kills your minions faster than you can kill his, and so it pushes in and you can't afford to stand there tanking it while he's standing there. So he can break it if he knows what he's doing, but he probably won't because he won't now because he's out of mana. He has to recall or get killed or be at risk of dying. So instead, you let it come into your turret. You're going to miss probably a couple of these casters because of that, and you don't have an opportunity to freeze it. The wave will just reset. Okay. So Ryze is recalling, you know his teleport is down, so now you definitely want to shove it. And at this point, if you're able to shove it quickly enough, you can either dirty farm the next wave, or actually it's going to get here in time to not have to dirty farm it. You can farm it right under his turret. Or you can now look to move into his jungle, or you can look to roam. So there's more options here. So you're looking to roam, so that's solid. Well, you don't know that they have a ward, so they're pinging you out, so they see you coming this whole time. But that's okay. You don't know that. Morgana places a terrible ward that doesn't actually give her vision control of anything. So you're going to pick up the Scuttle Crab. That's fine. It's a nice little source of gold while you're waiting for the lane to reset. But again, this whole time you could have been sitting here freezing the lane and CSing this entire time instead of having to figure out something else to do. You're not at the point in the game where it's like you should be roaming. It's the point where you can roam if you see a good opportunity or you don't have anything better to do. But it would be much better if you were able to stick out in lane and continue to farm and continue to build up a CS head, a nice bulk of CS. Wall was a little premature. So as soon as Ryze hits 6, you have to start respecting him. It doesn't even matter how bad he is or how behind he is. You must start respecting his ability to put out damage, because especially versus somebody like you that relies on their mobility. As soon as Ryze hits 6, he has another spell to throw into the mix that can add to his cooldowns, or lower his cooldowns, because that's how his passive works. So if his passive is ever up or almost up, even if he has 2 stacks on it, with his ult he can proc his passive super fast, like instantly, and still get a lot of use out of it. And so, they tweaked him so that it's not till level 9 that he actually can just chain root you. But at level 6 he can do it enough that he will go even or win trades. And since you didn't use your wall quite right that situation, he was able to still get a lot of damage on you. I think you did still block enough damage with it that if you had missed it, he would still be out trading you really hard. So he turns, he's still on this side of the wall, unfortunately, so he is able to get that damage done, which eats your shield. And then he steps on the other side, and now he's not blocked by your wall at all, because he's next to it. Oops. So you take the full damage from this combo. So you could have used your wall a lot better there, but going in for that trade at all was risky, because of where his passive was, because he has his ult up. You got to wait for a much stronger position. If you had gone back and gotten an item by now, Oh yeah, now he's dead. Oh, dang. I think you could have killed him there. So let's see here. Okay, so instead of just casting out the tornado, dash and then cast the tornado. If you see he's low like this, and it's like really clear that he's in lethal range, and he definitely is, his passive is stacked, so you can count on his shield coming up, but your shield is also up. So dash through the minion, then get the knock up, then you're in range to Q immediately, or auto attack immediately. And you can auto attack, and and then you're in range to do damage the entire time, rather than waiting to see that he gets knocked up and then going in. You could have gotten a lot more damage off. Even one more auto attack would have been a kill there. And so if you had E'd and then Q'd, that would have been a kill. And that's purely just not really thinking it through. You were playing reactionary rather than proactively. You reacted to the fact that he was suddenly low from your Q, from your tornado. And if you had been more aware of how much damage your tornado does, and more aware of the fact that it was pretty much a guaranteed hit, or you could have guaranteed it to being a hit if you had E'd closer, you just weren't aware of how much damage your combo did versus how much health he had right then. And so you played reactively, which costs you a kill. Okay. Yeah. You cannot afford to just go on straight on trades on him. You have to poke him down. You have to outplay him. Even if you were ahead, which you really aren't. Well, you are. You have a massive CS lead, so you are ahead. But even though you're ahead, you don't have a major item advantage. You have an Avarice Blade. It's not nothing, but it's not like it's not like you have Static Shiv or something and all of a sudden you're giant. Ryze is still, he's building fairly tanky. His rune page is probably pretty tanky. And so he's coming into lane. He has a lot of mana. He has a health crystal now. And his kit is just obscene for 1v1s. It's absolutely insane. And especially against, especially against someone like Yasuo, who relies so much on mobility, his ability to lock you down for extended periods of time is crazy. You have to respect that. After level 6, you have to respect him. Just like Riven after level 6, or anybody that has a gigantic level 6 power spike, you have to start respecting it. And you have to adjust the way that you're playing. You actually have gone more aggressive since he hit 6 than you were before 6. And that's just backwards. You should be going more aggressive before he hits 6. Because that's the only window you're going to have to be able to go fully aggressive. After he hits 6, you have to poke him down. You have to bait him into making mistakes. You have to wait until he puts himself into your hands, because if you try to force it and try to make him, die, basically, you try to force the issue, he will win that 9 times out of 10, even if he is terrible, and he is terrible. So okay. She pick up the Brawler's Gloves, that's good. Teleport back to lane, that's fine teleport there because he's about to shove it into your turret. So at this point, gold-wise, you're still ahead because you have such a gigantic CS lead. So even though you picked up a kill, you are still ahead. So this is the point now where, again, you're not buying any wards. You haven't bought a single ward this game. You should have bought at least 1 green ward by now. Ideally, you would have bought a pink ward and 1 or 2 green wards. You cannot rely just on your yellow. Lee has been leaving you alone, and so it hasn't been punishing you too much. But all these opportunities where you're shoving here, this is an okay opportunity to roam. But the last time, your time would have been much better spent moving in and getting some deep vision down. If you can get a pink ward here early, that will mess Lee up for most of the game, because you will have vision of him whenever he crosses through this area. Whenever he's doing red or Krugs, you will know that he's on the side of the map. That frees up your bot lane, that frees up your mid lane, that frees and allows you to know that you need to play a little safer. This is an incredibly strong ward, and it can last the entire game sometimes. I've had pink wards in this brush last for like 30 minutes because nobody ever walks through this brush. And so if you can sneak in there and get a ward in there, that's massive. So buy some of that early vision. If you feel yourself getting an early lead, you have to realize that your bullseye on your back is getting bigger and bigger. And so you have to invest some of that extra gold in vision. Do not fall into the temptation of, I don't know why you bought a Doran's Blade at this point. That's a mistake. Or maybe you started with that. I think you started with that. Never mind. Buying the Brawler's Gloves is okay, but that's not more important than getting vision. Get a pink ward, get a green ward, invest some of that extra gold that you have up on Ryze in vision so that you have control of this side of the map and you know when you can be aggressive on him. When Ryze gets low and blows an ability that he shouldn't have, and so you know that you have an opportunity to go aggressive on him and win the trade, you have to know that Lee is not sitting right here. You have to know that Lee is not right in this area and is going to be able to come up and save him in time. You got to know that Morgana is not coming up river to obliterate you when you go aggressive right here. You want to unlock your ability to be aggressive on Ryze and press your advantage. And you do that by being smart about when you go aggressive on Ryze. And you do that by having vision control of your chunk of the map. Okay, so this is an okay roam because you see Lee being aggressive and Echo is low, so there's a good chance that Lee continues to pressure down. But then you leave, so you just take Scuttle, and that's fine. And that's good. This is a vision thing, so that's good. And now you're moving back to top. Okay. So from this point on, especially, you do not want to have to teleport back to lane. From now on, you very much want to have teleport up to be able to move around the map and start impacting things. So now you're freezing. So it looks like you do know how to freeze. So that's good. Or at least you understand the theory. You kind of end up breaking it, but at least there was, you were thinking that direction anyway. So that's good. Okay. Okay, you have to burn flash to escape that because Ryze is stupid. And you absolutely wanted to recall there. I don't know why you didn't recall. Dude, you're low. Yeah, you can sustain up off of this, but even after that, you still want to recall. You're still at half health. Ryze just demonstrated he can obliterate you. Why wouldn't you recall there? You don't need... You can walk back to lane by the time he shoves the lane in. It's all the way to his turret. That was a perfect opportunity to recall. Gromp does enough damage that you're not actually going to sustain that much. Yeah, see... I mean, maybe you were thinking... Maybe you were trying to get to an item threshold. That's possible. Okay, that makes sense. If that's what you were doing. That's fine. You were trying to get static shiv, so okay. I don't know if you. I still don't know if you needed it because Gromp didn't. You still have 100 gold left, and Gromp didn't. You still would have been able to buy it, but now that you did buy it, and have 100 extra gold, and you didn't buy a ward, now you're in trouble. Now we got a problem, dude. Now I'm coming to your house and I'm gonna sit behind you while you play League and poke you with a stick until you buy wards. You have got to start investing in vision. Also, right now, I hope you roam mid, because look at the situation that's developing here. Dragon is up. You have, I guess you have teleport, so you at least need to be aware. So you don't need to start roaming, I guess, since teleport is off a cooldown. But your eyes better be on this section of the map right now, because this is developing. Dragon is up. They were pressuring mid. All of a sudden, they all disappeared down toward Dragon. So you need to be keeping an eye on the minimap much more than you are on Ryze. You are in farm mode right now, not in engage mode. You are in farm mode until something happens. If you can start roaming down, like if there's no good reason to stay here, which there really isn't right now, there's no good reason to stay in top lane, there's nothing to farm, you cannot kill Ryze under turret, there's no reason for you to be here. So you might as well start walking down toward Dragon. By the time that he clears this wave out and then clears the next wave and gets to your turret, you will have had plenty of time to realize if you need to go back to lane, or you will have had plenty of time to make it down here and then teleport back to top. So there's no reason for you to stay here. This is pointless. So you do come down, you throw your trinket ward down, but that's a waste of a trinket ward because it's pretty safe to bet that they're all here at Dragon, and you know that Lee was just mid and went down this way. Or you would if you were paying attention to the minimap anyway. So you should know that. So again, you need to be thinking about the objective here and moving down toward it. If this now happens and everybody backs off, then just walk back. you know, you will have only made it down to here, and you won't have lost anything. Just walk back, shove it in again. I would definitely have dirty farmed these minions over taking Krugs to extend your lead on Ryze and keep the lane pressure up, or the pressure up on the turret. But that's a little thing. So now again, you're thinking dragon, you're thinking mid. You should be thinking dragon and mid. You have teleport. You have your ult, you have Shiv, you're really strong. All of this is going down right now. You're looking. I think you got to be looking for an opportunity to TP in, but you missed like 3 opportunities to TP in. Okay, so right now you did what you did. You farmed Krugs and then you walk back to lane. Again, that would have been a better move to walk back to here at this point. Walk down to mid because this is where the action is happening. You know what's happening here. It's been developing for a long time. You should know that this is happening. Or that this has the potential to happen, and you have a vision. You have vision of them taking dragon. You have vision of them. Your team has pretty good vision, and this minion's helping you out. You know what's happening. You know that everybody is here. What are you gaining by staying here? You're already crushing Ryze. You have a 60 CS lead on him. There's no reason for you to stay up here. It is diminishing returns. Ryze, you can leave Ryze up here for like 5 minutes straight, and he still wouldn't catch up to you. And so you are 100% okay to leave this situation. This is what's important. This is where your team could start losing the game. If they secure first dragon and win a big fight here, this is where a 60 CS lead maybe isn't as impactful anymore because you stayed in top lane and kept all your lead in your pocket up in top lane and didn't come down to impact this fight down here. So let's just look here. So you have teleport. You see this developing, and you're not teleporting in, you're not teleporting in, you're not teleporting in. Why aren't you teleporting to this ward right now? Your team is scattered. They're not positioned very well either. So it's not just on you. But man, you can turn this around. This is a 2v1. Teleport to here. Teleport to here. Do something. Get here and kill Morgana before he takes out Shyvana. I don't know why Echo is farming when this is happening. Okay, so everyone on your team is failing horrifically. That's the sad truth of the matter. And they secure the dragon. If you teleport down, though, and start spamming your on my way pings, that changes the entire dynamic of that situation. Then Shyvana ults this way. Echo sees that there's a chance that they could turn this around and win the fight. He collapses on Morgana. You guys kill Morgana. At that point, now it's even because Morgana and Brand are down, but it's even better than even because Brand is a support and Morgana is their mid laner. So you guys can then look to collapse on Dragon. Jinx is there too. She could maybe come up. If you teleport right to this ward and come in, that draws everybody's attention. Now it's a teleport play. Now we have a team fight. Collapse, collapse, collapse. You're spam pinging on Morgana. You're spam pinging on my way. You're teleporting in, and your team collapses on Morgana, kills Morgana, and then you guys can have a pretty good chance of turning and at least contesting Dragon or winning a fight. Look how low they are after just doing Dragon. And Jinx probably ulted, so that's part of it too. But that's potentially a team fight that you just won for your team. Now maybe Ryze teleports down right next to you, and maybe you have to react to that, and it doesn't quite go that way. But at least you did something, right? At least you made the teleport play and probably still collapse on Morgana, since Ryze again is terrible, and it would really surprise me if he was really on the spot with his teleports. But if you're able to come down and teleport here, if you're just a couple of seconds ahead, you come in and you run here and you get on Morgana, Echo comes in and gets on Morgana, and Shyvana lives, maybe, and then you guys run to your turret. And it's at work, and you've gotten a kill at least, and done something. Jinx can fall back. So if Ryze comes in and they still have a stronger position, then oh well, you got a kill, you made the teleport play, and you can walk back to top lane. And continue your domination of Ryze, or you can defend mid from getting obliterated, which I bet it is about to go down here. You have got to be looking for these opportunities to join fights across the map. You have a lead, and it is being completely wasted right now. I don't know why you didn't ult there. You should have ulted there. It was risky not to. You didn't need it, as it turns out, but it was pretty risky not to. That was a really good win wall, though. That blocked all of his damage. So good, solid job there. But maybe he might have had you rooted when you wanted to ult, I guess. Maybe. But I don't think his root lasts as long as your ult window does, so I'm not sure. Anyway. Good wall. Good trade. Okay, now you teleport in behind. This is good now. Nice wall. It would have been nice if you could have gotten there a little sooner. Yeah, that doesn't end up turning into anything. That sucks. Okay, let's see if maybe that could have gone better. Okay, so... Brand is dead. Your team is here. They're all clumped up here. Teleport to this ward. Worst case scenario, you cancel your teleport. But yeah, teleport to this ward. This actually puts you in the fight. Like, this teleport means your team has to collapse to actually catch them, and your team is in no position to collapse at all. They're really low. They have to back off. So this ward, teleporting here, puts you right in the thick of things. If it looks like that's going to turn out to be... Then your team can come in, and because they're all going to be focused on you. They're either going to scatter from this ward, or they're going to turn to focus on you. And then at that point, your team can collapse, because now their attention is drawn elsewhere. But if they collapse here while you're coming from here, they can easily just kill them, and then turn and kill you. But since your team runs, they chase them, and then, you know, they never turn and kill you. But that's what could happen. So if you teleport here, all their attention goes, Ermagerd, teleport's coming in, and these guys can turn and take advantage of that attention lapse, and Jinx can start poking, and Echo can potentially come in too. But as it is, yeah, this ends up being a big waste, basically. So that's unfortunate. Good. Pick up Morgana anyway because she overstayed, so that's solid. And now you can head back top and push Ryze back. Okay, good. I'm going to speed up through some of this and just look for some big picture stuff. Like that. So you thought because the last one went super well that you could just kind of do that with impunity. You didn't look at what Ryze's items were. He has finished Rod. He's got 5 stacks on it. He's actually pretty big now. Unless it goes absolutely perfectly for you, you are going to lose that. And there's no need to go in for that trade. Again, you're already destroying him. You had 2 kills to his 1 and an assist to his none. You had 50 CS up on him. You're beating him. There's a very real risk that going in for a trade on him results in you dying, and the chances is maybe we'll be generous and call it 50-50, even though it's actually much more in favor of Ryze, because you have to perfectly land a win wall for it to be in your favor. So, and even then it's risky. But with, you know, so let's just be generous and say it's 50-50. Why would you bet your lead on a 50-50 chance? Why would you gamble 50-50 on giving Ryze a window to get back into this game? Your team is already having a hard enough time without that. Why would you do that? Why would you not just shove the lane and then come back and try to help your team out with this situation here? Or, you know, yeah, why that's you just got to be thinking through. I mean, maybe I can kill Ryze here, but just because maybe I could, does that mean I should? Does that mean it's a great idea to jump to go on him? Even if it's like an 80% chance that you get a kill, is that worth it? Is that worth your time and resources? Or is it going to be much better spent letting Ryze live because he's already so far behind that he's not really a factor quite yet, and using your fed self to go down and make sure your team doesn't get murdered? Just because you can kill somebody does not mean it's always a good idea to do so. It might be, in a lot of situations, much better for you to save your killing power for a situation where it will be much more impactful. Even if you'd killed Ryze here, it wouldn't have changed the situation, really. So you got caught out, and you know that's just a mechanical thing. You need to be more careful about your positioning. So when you have somebody like a Morgana that has a long-range stun or snare, so that's just a positioning mistake. And at this point, your team is so far behind that this is going to be a nightmare to win. And honestly, a big reason that your team is so far behind is because the only person on their team that's doing well is you, and you've spent 90% of your time in the top lane. You got a massive lead early, and you kept it up here. You didn't move it down here. You kept it up here. The only person on the team who was doing well stayed in the only place on the map where he couldn't actually impact the game. So you stayed up here to keep your foot on Ryze's throat when Ryze was already down for the count, when you could have come down here and really impacted things positively for your team and gotten things kickstarted the other direction for your team. That first kind of dragon shenanigans is when that first teleport should have happened, and you should have been down here. You guys were already behind. It already would have been tricky to pull off, but it could have been done. And now it's probably too late. So I'm guessing that they kind of win a fight and push in and end here, given the amount of time that's left in the game. Yeah. They take Baron. I'm assuming you guys die. Yeah. So normally suiciding a Baron like that is a terrible idea, but since it was kind of your last-ditch effort, if they got it, they won, then so you might as well try. But 3-manning when you know they're 5-manning Baron and trying to 3-man attack them is suicide, and you can throw that way really easily. In this situation, it's kind of a last-ditch effort anyway, so whatever. But this game, you got an early advantage on Ryze, which is really good. You got a nice early advantage on Ryze, and a couple of times you tried to force that advantage instead of using it intelligently. You tried to force it, and you got killed for it. I think you got killed once and maybe almost died another time, or maybe you got killed twice. I don't remember, but at least twice you forced your advantage, as opposing to knowing that you have it and making good, intelligent use of it. You didn't wait for Ryze to make a mistake. You just dashed forward to attack, and all that does is put your lead at risk. I mean, maybe you win. Maybe you get a good trade-off and Ryze makes a mistake and you win the trade and get the kill. Maybe. But why is it worth why is it worth flipping a coin with your lead? If you have a lead that you've worked hard to develop and you have a good CS lead and you have a kill lead, why would you flip a coin with that? Why not continue to play safe and continue to play smart and continue to play conservative and wait for Ryze to make his inevitable mistakes and then kill him instead of forcing it? Be patient, bide your time, look for opportunities. Look for good opportunities. Don't just be an opportunist. And I'm using the opportunity and opportunist in two different ways, so stick with me here. Don't just be an opportunist who sees an opening and just goes for it. Be a predator. Take the time to calculate the situation, make a plan, and execute it. You got to understand Ryze's kit. How much damage can Ryze put out? It's massive. He's stupid strong in a 1v1 situation. As soon as he hits 6 and then again at level 9, he's just incredibly strong. So you're going to be careful about 1v1ing him at level 6 all the way, and from level 6 on you're going to be careful until like super late game if you get massively fed or something. You're going to be very careful. Up until 6, you can bully him. After level 6, you got to play more safely. So that's part of your plan. You're going to bully him until level 6. At level 6, you're going to start playing a lot more conservatively. You're going to use tornadoes to poke. You're going to get damage in when you can safely do it. You're going to use your wind wall to protect yourself. And then when Ryze overextends, when Ryze stays in the lane even though he's super low health, when Ryze gets baited into diving me under my turret, when my jungler comes up because Ryze isn't warding, whatever the case is, that's the mistake you capitalize on. You pounce because you're a predator. You've baited, you've set the situation up to your advantage rather than just kind of hoping and flipping a coin that you win a 1v1 with him. And then with moving around the map, you even though you did make those mistakes and you didn't come out of lane phase nearly as far ahead as you could have, you just stayed here and you continued to push the lane and force and deal with Ryze when this is where you were needed. You were the only one on your team with any items and any gold. You were the only one in your team who was in a position to actually have a positive impact on things. And instead of doing that, you just hung out up here, continuing to take candy from a baby, essentially, because you could continue to beat Ryze as long as you play it smart. You can continue to outplay him and out CS him and damage him all day. And yeah, you could do that. You could win top lane 24/7, but who cares? You lost the game, right? So you needed to recognize that you are already ahead enough to do some work around the map and look for opportunities to do that. That's the whole reason you bring teleport, is to do work around the map. You get 1, maybe 2 teleports back to lane. And after that, every teleport after the second one, and even possibly including that second one, like in general, not necessarily this game, I'm just talking as a rule of thumb. After that second teleport back to lane is a waste. You do not want to have to do that. Unless you're like walking to a fight and then teleporting back. So essentially you're still using teleport to impact a fight. So, yeah. Your CS is okay. It could be better at this point. You could be pushing 250 by now if you were really on top of things. Given that Ryze is a big bully and how things went, probably not really realistic to be pushing 250, but you could probably be pushing 210 pretty easily. So for you to, if you had frozen it when I kind of pointed out that you could have, and if you had bided your time and been patient rather than forcing a couple of those engages, your CS would be a lot higher. And your kills would be 2 lower. So you'd be 2 lower on kills, and you'd be probably pushing 210 on CS, which is a gigantic swing. That's like a 1,000 gold swing. So that's a big deal between you and Ryze. 1,000 gold more in your favor than in his. And then yeah, look to move around the map. Look to impact things. Look to use your teleport offensively around the map to win the game, not just win your lane. Okay, thanks for the opportunity to take a look at this game. I hope some of that was helpful, and I look forward to maybe taking a look at another one of your games down the road sometime and see when you've had a chance to kind of work on some of this stuff. So, cool. Best of luck.